Mario, tell us about Mercury13, how it came about.
Mercury13 is a multi-club ownership group that is dedicated to women's football. I co-founded it with my wonderful co-founder Victoire over 2 years ago, and the mission and our central goal has always been to try to unleash the tremendous potential we see in women's football.
And why only women's football?
It's a really simple reality, but that really is behind every decision that we make, which is we think women's football has tremendous potential, but that to unlock that potential, you need dedicated capital, dedicated management, and time. So when we first founded the business, we saw this void or this blank space that, with very rare exceptions, there weren't vehicles that were truly just focused on this one side of the sport, on the women's side. And we wanted to be what we thought was missing in the market. So we built this vehicle that only does one thing, and we aspire to do it really well, which is everything that we can to unlock the full potential of women's football.
The name, Mercury13, explain that.
Yeah, it's a beautiful story where our name comes from, and the background is that in the late 50s, early 60s in the US, there was a wonderful group of privately funded women who were training to be astronauts. And the mission was called the Mercury13 mission. And they went through all the same tests and trials as their male counterparts. And when they were at the end of the process, the NASA actually declined them just on the basis of their gender. So when we were naming the company, my co-founder had the wonderful idea of naming the company as a tribute to those 13 women, because we found ourselves musing how different would the world be if women had gone to space. And we think that there was a beautiful analogy there with what you see in the men's side of sport, and especially of football, where there's 100 years of history that we wonder what would have happened if women footballers would have been given the same investment and attention. So we're trying to change that, and it's a little bit of a tribute to those 13 incredible women.
And aiming for the stars, is that something you want for Bristol City Women?
Absolutely. There's a bit of a space theme, and aiming for the stars and thinking big and trying to take people to places where they haven't been before. So we really are focused on trying to prove that the women's game can reach new heights. It's already doing it before our involvement, and we hope to accelerate that and raise that ceiling even further. So absolutely.
And Bristol City Women, why this club? Why English football?
English football, or entering the English football pyramid, has always been a priority for us. We've never shied away from that. It is no secret that it is one of the contenders for being arguably the world's most dominant league. It's definitely one of two. So it was a very central market for us, and one that we wanted to participate in. In terms of Bristol City Women, I think it's a club that checks off every box that we look for. It has an incredible academy, an incredible training center, an incredible stadium, a very rich heritage of performance, and most importantly, a very strong community that has embraced it for many years. To us, then, the cherry on top is that the partnership and the people who we're getting into business with that have done a fantastic job building this club to where it is today. It honestly checked every single box that we care about, so it was a little bit of a no-brainer.
Let's unpick some of those then. So let's start with the community, both in terms of the player connection with the community and the fans who come and watch.
Yeah, there's women's football, I think, because of its nascency historically compared to the men's side, has many different leagues and cities and honestly even stadiums that have different histories with the game. When we came to Bristol, we found a team that had already had a very rich history, and even a place that had become very associated with not just women playing, but women playing at the highest level, and obviously the team's history in the WSL. So through all of our interactions and through all the diligence process, that really came through. And that's something that is hard to put a value on, but that is absolutely necessary in order to build something gigantic and very ambitious, which is what we want to do here.
When new owners come into clubs, they sometimes change a lot, sometimes change a little, and a lot over time. What is your vision for Bristol City Women, and what are you going to do with the club?
We really think of ourselves in every investment that we make as stewards of the club. So the first answer is we treat our involvement with tremendous respect to what's there. So we'll never change things for the sake of changing them. That said, women's football is evolving very quickly. So if you don't change things, it means you're not growing with the game. So things will absolutely change. It's our goal to make sure that every single change is for the better. But in terms of honoring and respecting what's there, it's always our first priority and our first thought. So especially when it comes to this club, we feel that we're building on a very strong foundation that we want to take even higher, but always in a direction of improving what's already there.
And the Lansdowne family have been involved in Bristol sport for a long time and investing and supporting the women's team for 10 or so years. In terms of your conversations with the Lansdowne family, how have they gone over the last few months?
The relationship with the Lansdowne family has been great. We're very, very honored that they've seen in us worthy stewards of this club, and we really take that commitment to them and to the Bristol community very seriously. So we think partnering with them is a very attractive part of why we picked this club, and we think that together and in close collaboration we can achieve some really wonderful things for this team.
English football, the WSL, rebrand and new company. In terms of the ambition for Bristol City Women, what is that?
We believe this club belongs in the top flight, and we see no reason they shouldn't be playing top flight football. So our ambition is unequivocally to take the team back to the WSL. As to when and how that happens, you leave that to football, and we understand that football is football, and sometimes the road there can be long, sometimes it can be short. So we don't have an expectation of when it will happen, but we definitely need to be pushing for it every year because this club has the quality and this team has the quality needed to get back there.